runway when you've got a triplane or a vintage biplane. I wasn't expecting that, I have to admit.
It's amazing really, because the Fokker triplane is one of the most famous planes ever built, and certainly is synonymous with Manfred von Richthofen, the Red Baron. But actually, it only entered service really, well, the first version of it entered service in just a trial version in 1917, the back end of 1917. And it didn't really enter proper service, frontline service, as the DR.I, which is what we're looking at the moment, until February the 17th. The Red Baron scored the last of his 17 victories. I say only the last 17. I mean, that's still a heck of a lot. But most of his aerial victories were not scored in the triplane. It had all sorts of structural problems to start off with. The wings kept collapsing, but incredibly manoeuvrable. And of course, in the biplane era, it's all about manoeuvrability rather than speed. Although it didn't, flying straight and level, it had none of the speed to match a lot of the Allied fighter planes of that time. SE6 and so on. And actually had a comparatively short run. Production of these was really, really brief. So, experimental ones in September 1917, first production run from October 1917, all over by May 1918. And in May 1918, by that point, the plane that is coming into service is of course the Fokker D.VII, which is the biplane you see following it. It's cantilever wing and improved ability to climb and excessive manoeuvrability. In actual fact, once Richthofen was killed in April 1918, the person who took over as commander of JG-1 was none other than Hermann Goering. And most of his victories were scored in the D.VII. Top speed of the triplane about 110 miles an hour. Top speed of the D.VII about 120 maybe on a good day. But they're still pretty nimble. I mean, looking at these now, Mike, as a pilot yourself, I mean, what's your sort of thoughts? What do you make of them?
I think they look very fragile.
Don't they just?
Quite alarmed to be fighting it, pulling it around a corner, and they were in the early days of aerial warfare, so the pilots didn't really know about the G-force and all those things, so it's amazing to watch.
There's a lot of fabric, a lot of wire. You're right, they do look incredibly flimsy, don't they?
And in the early variants, where they were having to pull the trigger of the machine guns reaching out of the cockpit while they were flying.
Well, in actual fact, one of the problems with the triplane is that the machine gun butts are very close to the cockpit, and coming into land was quite tricky. And on those sort of rough grass airfields, you could quite easily jolt yourself and bang your head on the machine gun butts. It's not terribly helpful. In fact, the first triplane was made by Sopwith, and it was a captured one from February 1917 that persuaded Anthony Fokker that this was the way to go. So he took it back to their plant at Schwerin and told Reinhold Platz, his chief designer, this was what was needed. He wanted a Fokker triplane as well. The first prototype, the F1, first flew on the 1st of September 1917, so just goes to underline just how much more simple these aircraft are compared to
next generation of aircraft. Lovely aerobatics. We got a barrel roll a while ago, very tight wing over there from the DR.I. It's underneath his steering speed 7.
And I guess that's its USP, isn't it? It's manoeuvrability that you get from the 3 wings rather than 2.
All that extra lift and yeah. I don't know if they've got control services on all of that. I don't think they. I imagine they haven't, but I'll have to go down to the flight line and have a good look at that aircraft this afternoon when it's landed.
I mean, it does look a bit like a box kite, doesn't it?
Absolutely, and as I said, it smelled like a model aircraft. It looks a bit like one as it's flying around. I mean, expertly flown by Michael Parsons. I've mentioned his name already, so that's Stu Goldsmith in the 79 flying the Wildcat earlier on, so he's only a bit big.
And how easy is it to make that switch, Mike, from kind of one plane to another, from jet to piston to biplane to triplane or whatever?
I'd say very different. Especially in one day, day to day, if you fly an extra split bar on the left, Tiger Monster, Moby was a good bar, and hats off to those who fly 3 or 4 times in a day.
But you can see, can't you, how manoeuvrable they are? I mean, look at your phone. You know, you've got to dive down on it and catch it unawares, haven't you? I mean, you know, if you're being attacked,
And that's when
a pilot of any skill would feel you could go to And the Immelmann is still a kind of known procedure, and of course that was from the German fossil route operation.